Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last tutorial we had just got done creating our first widget, and we had a progress bar that we linked to our player health. So by pressing the F key we were able to see our progress bar deplete, as you guys can see right here, which makes for a really boring game. As long as you don't press the F key 10 times, you're immortal. So how do we create some enemies and start having those enemies, instead of the F key, actually affect our health bar? So what we're going to do is we're going to right click here in the content browser, and we're going to create a new blueprint class. And we are going to create an actor. There's a lot of different classes that Unreal has for us to use, and they all come with different features and built-in functionality. Actor is the base class. It's basically the bare bones. We'll get into some of these other more complicated classes later, but for right now we're just going to click right here on the actor class, and we're going to call this enemy 1, and we're going to double click on enemy 1, and we're going to open him up, and we're going to add a component, and we're going to look for cube here. So we're just going to make this a really fun box, and we'll call this box enemy mesh. And then we're going to come into our event graph, and we won't need any of this, so we can delete that. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on our box mesh, and we're going to go over here to the right hand panel, which has a lot of different things you can play around with, but what we're going to be looking for right now is all the way at the bottom where you see events, and then you have all these green boxes with plus signs next to them. And as you can see, we can script different logic for events that happen with our box here. And what we're going to be looking for is on component begin overlap. So we're going to hit this, and you see it's going to create this node for us on component begin overlap of the box enemy mesh, and then we'll be able to do something off of these pins. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to check who is overlapping our box. So what we want is our player. When the player runs into the box, we want to do some damage to our player. So as you can see, there's these pins here, and the one we're going to want to use is this other actor pin. And we're going to drag off of here, and we're going to check to see if this is our player. So we're going to cast to, and then look for your player character, whatever you guys have called that. So now, when something overlaps our box, we're going to check and see if it's our player character, because that's the one that we want to do damage to. We don't care if it overlaps another box, we don't care if it overlaps the floor, or as your game gets more complex you'll have other enemies, other actors and things. You want to make sure that it's only the actor that you want to affect is the one that you care to see if it's overlapping. So we're looking for a third person character, and now that we've casted to our third person character, we now have access to those variables that are within this blueprint. And one of those variables is, of course, our health. So we are able to search for health now. We can hit enter, and we can get our health out of our third person character. Now this health value is defaulted at 100, but as it changes, as the player gets injured or takes damage, this value is actually going to change. So this is a constant reference to the updated health value of our player. And what we want to do when the player runs into the box, we're going to subtract. So you search for float minus float, and then we're going to subtract some amount of health from our player. So we'll say take 5. And then, as we remember from a few videos ago, in order to get this to stay with the player, so the new health, if it was at 100, to subtract 5 and have the new health be 95, we have to set the health, which means we have to go back into our third person character and say set health. And now this node comes up, and we want to hook this up to the true. So if this cast succeeds, you see there's 2 pins. This is just like a Boolean for the branches, true and false. So if it's true, we want to set our health to this value here, which will be 95 if it's the first time. And once we're done with that, it should automatically update our widget for the progress bar, so we'll be able to see that. Now if we minimize here and hit play, oh, sorry, it would help if I put one of our enemies into the world. And now I hit play and we run into our box. You see how it's taken away some health. So now we are able to place things into our world and affect the same variables that we had in our player character that I was affecting using the F key. So this is the basis for creating enemies, creating all kinds of different scripting logic, and obviously we will get a lot more complex as we go along in this tutorial series. But for now, you guys can see how we have been able to affect our player health by running into these boxes, which are a new actor that we have created, enemy 1. And you can place as many of these into your world as you would like, and they will all do the same thing. So they all know what the player's current health is, and each one of them will take away 5 points of health every time the player runs into them. Alright, so I hope that was helpful for you guys, and if it was, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more tutorials. In the next video, we'll be making this system a little bit more complex. We might even add some numbers up here to the health bar so that we can see exactly what value we're currently at. And we might even get into a scoring system depending on how much time we have. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.